health advocate. And you can find what I'm doing, what I'm creating in this new phase of my life at lifebeyondthebinge.com.
So beyond the binge, what does that mean? And what do you want people to take away from it?
Well, beyond the binge means for me that I no longer am, I'm no longer living my life through binging. Like binging was my coping mechanism when I felt discomfort. And now that I've looked inward, found the source of my discomfort, and found tools to move past it, I no longer binge. And my life beyond that is like a whole new chapter of incredible opportunities.
That's fantastic because so many of us go through something. Even fewer of us can actually look on the other side and say, hey, this is what I was able to overcome.
Mhm.
So, how did you get into binge drinking? What caused it, and what were some of your thoughts and your feelings during that time?
Yeah, so I started drinking really at 19, I went to college, I ended up dropping out because of drinking. But quite honestly, I'm in my 60s now and I've lived my whole life denying that binge drinking was a problem. And so it's not the thing with binge drinking, which is common, we call it partying. So it's not something you typically do every day. I mean, if you did, you'd call yourself an alcoholic. So it's really easy to deny that there's a problem because you're not doing it all the time. And so it's really easy to start the rationalization the day after you drink too much, like, oh, I didn't eat, I don't do that all the time. My friends say I was okay. I'm just going to be careful. And that's the MO I had for a lot of my life. Interestingly enough, I got scared straight, which I'd love to share that with you if you have a moment at some point. But I didn't hit rock bottom. I got scared straight, and then I started diving into how I could stay stuck in this for 40 years, and I realized it was a story that I created about myself, and the behavior is the story beneath there's always a story beneath a behavior is what I like to say now. And that's what I discovered by writing my book and doing my own excavating, so to speak. Like I got deep, and at the core I had created a story that I was unlovable, and I lived and made choices to reinforce my story.
That sounds like it was a difficult time for you to feel that way and to think that way about yourself.
Well, interestingly enough, it was buried in my subconscious. I buried it so deep. It's a traumatic experience that created shame that I internalized as I was unlovable because of what happened. And so, what happens, I think, for me, and I'm not a therapist, but sometimes when trauma happens, we almost disassociate and pretend it's almost like I forgot it even happened. It's traumatic and you just want to move on in life. You don't want to revisit it. And so you bury it, but it doesn't go anywhere except in your essence, in your head. And you start subconsciously making choices that reinforce what you believe about yourself.
There was someone that I used to know where had she had a traumatic experience, and her experience for the most part was inside of her head. And the reason why I share that is she had this fear as an adult of not making enough money because she always thought she was going to end up homeless. Now, it
Mhm.
could have been from her childhood, a different experience, but when I came in contact with her and we had that friendship, she always had this fear and she developed this addiction. I need money, I need money, I need money.
Mm.
And one of the ways that she was able to cope through that is that she did start using substances
Mm.
to keep her going. So when you mentioned that you buried it for her, and that's probably one of the few experiences I have knowing someone, is that hers was buried deep inside of her. And it was like, I don't want to be vulnerable because that's a sign of weakness. So I'm gonna make it seem like on the outer shell, on the outside, I'm this strong woman making all this money, right? Is that some of the things that you went through where you were putting on this persona that wasn't necessarily who you were, at least on the inside?
Exactly, it's not who I believed to be on the inside, and I very similar, sounds like a different experience, but a similar coping mechanism with your friend. That's what I experienced as well. Um, and interestingly enough, maybe with her too, is anyone that knows me is shocked. They're like, "We love you. Everyone loves you." Like, I don't know anyone who doesn't. So, what are you talking about? And the thing is, but I didn't love me. So, that's a problem.
She was searching for love any and everywhere.
Mm,
She came in contact with a group of people that were enabling the bad behaviors, and
mm,
those who were around who were trying to pull her away from it, she would resist and fight. It became a mess. And unfortunately for her, when she decided to make the change, I remember hearing from someone that she really struggled with the possibility of being alone. She hated being alone. You
mm.
mentioned shame and guilt. What are some of the ways that you think shame and guilt showed up in your life during that time?
I think the shame, it showed up in choices I was making. And when I did drink, I was very reckless. I think now looking back in my 20s, especially after it was raw and fresh, pretty much through my entire 20s and early 30s, I really think I had a death wish. I wasn't suicidal. I didn't think, okay, I'm going to go, no suicidal ideation, but I was putting myself in reckless, very, I should be dead a number of times, and I think it was kind of like, I don't what's the point of living? I had told myself, "I'll never get married, I'll never have children, and nobody will love me." And those are pretty powerful statements to say to yourself, and especially, I don't wanna, say for a woman, but really for women, we are kind of thought that at some point we will maybe have a child, and, nowadays, maybe it's a little different. This is back in the '80s, but, everyone around me was having children, and I wasn't ever going to, so I moved in a opposite direction from the rest of, my friends and what have you. And that's when I went commercial fishing because it was a perfect place for me to be on a boat in the '80s in the middle of the Bering Sea. There was no internet, there was nobody knew what that was at the time. And I'd be out there for 4 or 5 months, and it was perfect for me. I didn't have to deal with reality.
What was your identity like during that time?
I put on a persona that I don't need anyone. I'm a tough fisherwoman. I travel wherever I want. I do whatever I want. And isn't this great? Don't you wish you had my life?
Yeah, I could imagine where it's so carefree, where you're doing what you want, how you want, wherever it is you want. But then deep down, you're like, am I worthy?
Mm.
Will I ever be loved? What kind of love were you looking for?
I sound kind of like your friend. Anywhere anyone would pay attention to me. Um, the interesting thing, Train, is I wasn't really aware that I was doing this. I was just operating. It was not in my consciousness that this is I was just moving through life unaware of the choices I was making. Things were just happening, and I didn't put two and two together that it was me creating this circumstance because of the choices I was making. And then I'd go on the boat because the boat, at some point, I'd go back to work. And as my life might be kind of starting to crumble on land, I go back out to the ocean for 4 months and, recalibrate. There's no drinking. You just, get back in your work groove, you get off the boat, and then the cycle starts again.
It's like you had one life on land and
Hmm.
another life on sea.
Yes. And we still do, actually, but it's not crazy like it used to be.
Oh, thank God, right? Could you imagine? You have this like big closet of everything you stuff in there on the land, but then as soon as you go on the boat, you're like, oh, yes, I'm exactly who I want to be.
Yeah, and it's working, which is funny. 12-hour days every day. So, but there's something about the routine and the physicalness of it, and it's almost therapeutic.
For the people that you'd come in contact with, that let's say someone came to you, Colleen, they said, Colleen, I'm someone that drinks. I used to be able to just drink casually, but now it's the weekends, and now I find it's during the week, and now it's throughout the days. What is something that you would like to help them identify is a first step into the journey of not
Mhm.
doing that anymore?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's one I asked myself, how is it working for you or for me? That's the first question I asked myself was, how is this working for me? And if a person asks themselves that and is honest with it and writes, you don't have to write a list. You can do it however you want. I like to write lists, so I would write the pros and the cons. This is great for a lot of things in life, right? Keep your job, keep your relationship, whatever, the pros and cons, and then look at it and just say, okay, am I willing to change? Because it's a choice.
I wonder how many people are aware they have that choice.
I don't know, sometimes for us, and I know for me because I didn't change for a number of years, the consequences have to outweigh the behavior. You have to have really a good, I call it your why. Like, why are you, because there's something that alcohol and substances and these behaviors that we don't really want to be doing provides for us, right? Otherwise, people wouldn't do it. Scrolling, gambling, it gives us that feel good dopamine hit. So, who doesn't like to feel good? And it's a habit. You just right. And so, someone's going to take away your lollipop or whatever when you're a kid, you're going to cry. So you have to like really have a reason why you're not going to do this to change.
Rock bottom for some people, but scared straight for others, right?
Exactly.
And it's interesting, like if I were to look throughout some of the people around me, I think people in general think drugs, alcohol, sex. I think those are
Mhm.
probably the top three. Gambling when it comes to addiction, right? Top four. But work, partying, like these are things that if it disrupt your day-to-day life, because you're right, like who doesn't, if I were to give someone like a pill and said that this pill is going to make you feel great every single day, some people would take it without any question. Some people say, okay, what's in this pill, right? Some people maybe wouldn't do it because they just don't trust it. But I think the dopamine and just feeling good, especially these days where there's so many things that's making you feel bad, right? When people are getting caught up in this type of behavior or this type of lifestyle, how quickly can they get wrapped up in it?
Fast, right? I mean, some people can spiral really fast. Um, my type of behavior wasn't a daily thing. Like, I didn't become I now know that I did have alcohol use disorder because binge drinking can fall under that category of addictions, which I never really liked to admit, but I've come to realize, yes, that's true. Um, so I'm not really familiar with that kind of behavior, honestly. I was a on again, off again person that every time I would have a binge, a party, and the next day I'd wake up and say, okay, I need to get it together or slow down, which a lot of people I'm sure do. You wake up and go, wow, I overdid it last night. I'm going to pay attention. And you do for a while until you forget. And then 2 months later, you get too trashed and right? For those who drink or drug or whatever. So I think, I should probably define what binge behavior is for alcohol, right? So the CDC, it's 4 or more drinks for a woman and 5 or more for a male in a 2-hour period. And that's just kind of a general, like a party, you're partying. And what we have to remember is you go, oh, well, that's kind of Four might be hard to do in 2 hours, but you have to remember it's the measured drink, not, like a bottle of wine is for drinks. So if you can drink a bottle of wine, so you just, it's the measurement of alcohol. So easy to do for a lot of people when you're out, watching a ball game or at a barbecue. That's the last time I drank. I was at a party Sunday at a afternoon barbecue.
When you put it like that, there's probably so many people who would fall into that category and they would be shocked.
Yeah, my aunt was shocked when she found that out. She's like, "Oh my god, I binge drink." And she started to slow down.
There was you as you mentioned, that made me think of a few people I used to be friends with, and their thing was, well, these are men. Their thing was women. And I remember mentioning to one of them that I was like, well, I think you're a little bit addicted. He's like, no, I'm not. I was like, well, let's break it down, right? How many women in a week? Two or three. If you don't get two or three, how are you? He's like, I feel like I'm in tensed up and anxiety and all this other stuff. I was like, you sound like someone going with withdrawals,
I
right?
love that you're sharing that. That's
Yeah, but
so
no, I was gonna say, like, to your point, right? Like, some people, until you put it in their face, they have no idea, and it could be scary.
mhm. Yeah, and you may not wanna admit that that's you. There might be some denial around it.
Yes, because sharing stories like this, one, I think takes courage, and your story and
Mm,
you sharing it is a very courageous act.
thank you.
Because you're welcome. I could just see people in, if I'm from a family that's very close, tight knit, and I discover that a brother of mine has an addiction, there's going to be some families that they don't want to talk about it. Or you're going to bring shame to the families, keep it hush hush. And that may not be helping that person, because now what that is doing is putting that person in denial. Okay, maybe I don't have that much of a problem because no everyone around me is just enabling it. They're catering to it, right? They're not even saying anything. So I continue. And sometimes it gets worse. Sometimes they get behind a wheel. Sometimes they self harm, to your point. Sometimes it could be that they're coping with something deeper, which a lot of times it is. And eventually, what they're taking for it doesn't have the same effect as coping. And then it could lead to other things. Did you see that in your experiences, either from yourself or with others, where what they were doing was leading them down a path that other people kind of were ignoring, but the signs were there?
Mm, could be me, my story. I mean, the people around me, my sister's the only one that one time acknowledged to me she thought she didn't like me when I was drinking too much. But mostly, I think maybe my late husband, who he died by alcohol-related suicide. Rest in peace, Scott, and that was 14 years ago. And I was on the boat, and when I got home a week later, the garbage can was filled with empty bottles, and I think he was drinking too much. Definitely, he was drunk the night he died. So, uh, I think it can definitely start a circle down without the right help.
My condolences. That
Thank
must have been
you.
a painful time for you.
Yes, it was pivotal and nothing I wish on anyone.
When you decided to write your book, how much of yourself did you put in that book?
I started the book because I write on Substack, and so it's kinda interesting that I put my whole heart into it, everything, and now I'm having a little, what's that word? Not hangover, but just not anxiety, but it's pretty vulnerable, everything I put into that book. It's my story, and, the fear of being judged, not really by people I don't know, but my people who know me. I'm like, "Ugh, they're gonna read this." But I really thought if I'm gonna write it, I have to write it from my heart and tell the story, or why bother?
You will always be judged.
And that's this is true.
Right?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like, who cares, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I care. I take that back. I do care. Otherwise, I wouldn't have just said what I said. But I mean, at the end of the day, life moves on. People move on. I'm not as important in their judgment as my ego might think I am. So, and maybe they won't even judge me as I'm feeling they are. So it's okay. Move through the fear.
Absolutely, because for you to come out of what you came out of, to write the book, to be the woman that you are today, you had to be fearless. So if someone's going to
Mm.
judge you now,
I love
okay.
I love that. Thank you for telling me that. I will hang on to
Yeah,
that terrain.
you're
Thank you.
welcome. Yeah, if they're going to judge you now, it's like, do you know what I've been
Like,
through? If you'd have
all
judged
right.
me back then yeah, I probably would have cared because my life was, I was just trying to figure it out and survive. But
Exactly.
now that I'm Superwoman and I've survived it, these bullets bounce off of
Uh,
this chest just like every other superhero, right?
I love that. Yep.
Were you judged during that time? If so, by who? No, not so by who. In what way?
That's hard to say. No one came out, and if they were, I wouldn't have known it. No one came to me and said anything judge worthy, I guess. I think the comments and the kind of feedback that I received from people was if they could be of help, of some sort of help, and to help me through whatever I might need. So it was very supportive, quite honestly.
Did you have a community that was very supportive in the way that you described?
Not at the time. No, I had my family and friends. So I guess I did have a community, but not like a community like I have now, like an alcohol-free group of women that I'm always connecting with. But my family and friends were enough. I mean, you don't need that many friends, right, to have a whole life.
Yeah, it's not like Facebook, right? You don't need 1,000, 2,000 friends, right? Give me
Yeah,
5, 10, and I'm good.
exactly.
I look at some of the struggles I've gone through, and I've been fortunate to have a good group of people. It
Mhm,
wasn't always a lot of people, but the people that I can count on were always present. And Colin, let me tell you, earlier on in my life, I counted on the wrong people, and they made my trauma even worse
mhm,
at that point. But I had to go through that because if I didn't go through that, then I wouldn't be able to identify the certain behaviors that I knew didn't align with the person I wanted to be, such as the former friends in those examples. Because when I was filled with trauma and I was embracing it and I was out there doing things that I look back now and I was like, oh my God, can I erase that version of me? I had to learn that one, not everyone around you is good people.
mhm,
Two, sometimes you get help from someone that you least expect it. And when they show up, they do show up for you in every way possible. And three, self value and self worth is so important when it comes to that journey.
mhm.
Did you battle with worthiness or self value during that time?
During the time my husband passed, or just my
Both. Both.
okay, I think I definitely, struggled with it most of my adult life, in some form. I think maybe it lessened the older I got, and I worked through some therapy, and I had a healthy relationship with the husband, right? I said I was never gonna get married, but I did in my late 30s, early 40s. So I think I was moving in a positive direction, that of self-worth and self-love. The When he died, I had a lot of guilt around it, to be honest. And I had asked for a divorce the morning he died. So there was guilt, even though rationally I knew it wasn't my fault and it was his actions. I did not, you cannot control another person. Um, but it took some time to really believe that it wasn't my fault. And I got there. I'm there now. But I think I didn't. I never felt like I pushed him over the edge. I felt like he, unfortunately, fell into depression. I guess I didn't marry a depressed man. Life started happening for him, and he didn't have the tools, and he didn't know how to ask for help, and he ended up making a rash decision drunk one night. I think if he could go back, he wouldn't do that, right? I mean, that's what they say. Anyone who attempts suicide and doesn't succeed is so thankful they didn't. So I believe he would be in that category. So I have a lot of compassion now for those struggling with mental health and suicidal ideation. And honestly, that's why I'm here. I made a promise that I would try to do something in for the remainder of my life to help, and I didn't know what it looked like at the time. That was 14 years ago, but I'm finding that it's once I started writing on Substack and getting feedback from people, like I started writing about his suicide and how I felt, and a lot about his suicide, and people would respond like, "Oh my gosh, we need to talk about this more," or they'd say, "My brother died. My I've thought of killing myself." So it just I was like, "Wow, people really want to talk about this." I think I've hit the like I know where I'm supposed to be now. This is my lane, and just keep moving forward. I don't really know how that's looking right now. It's thank you being on podcasts like yours and sharing. And then I wrote my book, and now I'm just I'd love to go to schools, and I got a good friend who's there's 5 suicides in their high school last year, and I just that just gives me chills, and I just don't know how it's going to look, but I'm looking for opportunities to just speak and be a beacon of hope and maybe help save a life.
Suicide, at least here in Canada, it's kind of been steady, but it's still quite high. We have, especially when it comes to, let's say, teenage girls and young women, that tends
Mm,
to be increasing. Um, but overall, the numbers for men in general are higher overall than women. So when you mentioned your like husband and things like that, I can see people struggling. And if you look at the world today, there's so much make you to put you in a position to feel that way. And this is not to say that people aren't struggling, but sometimes when get bombarded with the negativity, it can change your thinking. And some people get so caught up in themselves and their emotions that they feel like they can't take it on
mm,
anymore, and they may not have an outlet. Like I know for me, the gym helped.
mm,
In my younger years, I know sports did because I had the parental figure. A lot of
mhm.
coaches or that way for men. These days, I have my punching bag in the
Mm.
garage.
Awesome.
So all I do is anytime I'm stressed out, like if Johnny stresses me out, Johnny's on the bag, right? So, just have this name on the bag, and it's just different ways to cope. But some people don't have, they just don't have it.
Mm,
And when I hear that you found yours being a commercial fisherwoman, you know,
mhm.
life on the sea, how did that come about, and how important is that in your life when it comes to maintaining the woman that you are today?
Mhm. Um, it's a huge part of who I am. I've spent 36 years in this profession. I figure I've maybe spent 21 inside a ship, 21 years of my life sleeping on a boat. So it's a huge part of who I am. And I'm proud of that. It's very unique. I love I love being out. I love the work. I love my coworkers. I mean, I don't always. There's the bad days, right? Like when it's rough or we're not catching fish. I mean, we gripe like any other normal human being, but for the most part, we have a really great time. And so, yeah, it's just really being out on the ocean. It really gives you, it's just like people love to look at the ocean and hear the sound and the smells and hear the birds. And I think it just keeps you connected with life and death because it's so expansive. You've got all this water and the sky, and it's like an endless expansion. And I think it just reminds me that my life isn't permanent. And even though I'm living it maybe 2 months, just grinding it out on the boat, I mean, life is life wherever you're living it and whatever you're doing. And how are you going to live the day wherever you are? So I try to live it the best I can wherever I'm at. I mean, I'm a work in progress though, but I try.
Outside of that, which has been such a big part of your life, what are some other things that has helped you along this way?
I think, I'm blessed to have an amazing family and my good, friends on one hand. I've been a great mentor. I didn't have children, but I'm the great aunt that I've been told that. So I feel like I can share this. My family's told me I'm the aunt they love because I spoil them and it's just, I'm fun. So, you don't have to be a mother to contribute to being a mentor to kids. And almost actually, you know, sometimes the kids can come to me and not their parents at times. So it's nice to have someone in I'm very happy that I've been able to fulfill that because I'm not a mother. So I feel like I have a little mother inside to me over here.
So are you the cool aunt or are you the strict aunt? Which one are you?
Oh, come on. The cool yeah.
Ah, I knew it. I knew you were the cool one, right? What else
Yeah.
would you be?
I hope nothing but cool, right?
Yeah, aunts and uncles, I'm telling you, they have such a special place in children's lives because like you
Yeah.
mentioned, right, like they're like the second or maybe even third parent, right? They can go to them and they know they're not going to tell their parents like, "Hey, can I just tell you this?" So are you that kind of aunt where you're full of
Yeah.
secrets?
If they ask me not to share, I won't. I believe in unless it's something harmful, right? Just like a therapist. But I keep that promise. If they tell me something and say don't tell my mom, I don't. If it's like I got a new job or I bought a new car or something like that, and then they eventually tell mom, and I don't say, oh, I knew a month ago, because then my sister feels bad. But I just, I just try to honor that secret if it's not a harmful secret, because you have to have the trust, right? It's like with your friends too. If you tell your friend something and it's in confidence and they share it with someone else, it's you can't trust that friend anymore.
Absolutely. That's why anytime I tell stories, it's always of my former friends. Right? Because if they get mad, like who cares?
You deserved it, right?
Yeah, we're not friends anymore. So I'm going to tell all your secrets. The day that someone puts me on the sofa in like a therapy session, oh my God, I don't have to sign confidentiality. I'm going to put me on 60 Minutes. I'm going to tell everything, but I'm going to need like a part one and a part two, right? Because I have everybody's secrets.
Yeah, but now if they don't like what you say, they're going to edit you out. So
I know, right? Could you imagine they see this episode and they're like, "We're not telling you anything else." I was like, "I know enough. Pay me to not share them."
yeah.
Right? Because it's I learned that trust is such a beautiful thing, especially when you're trusting yourself to do the right thing.
Mm,
And I pride myself on someone that is trustworthy not only to myself, like when I look in the mirror, but to so many other people because there was a time where I felt I couldn't trust anyone. There was a time
mm,
where I didn't think that people cared enough about me to even share anything. So I was very closed off.
mm,
But the moment that I started to open up, let me tell you, Colin, I couldn't even stop. I'm like, yeah, I tell you this, I tell you that, I tell you this, I tell you that. But I was protective of my peace because that was the most important thing to me. I want to be content. These days, you have the book, you have the support system. What
mhm.
continues to keep Colleen going? Happy, content, at peace.
Wow. Having my health, gratitude, and opportunities. I'm just really enjoying this new chapter of my life. It's very exciting. I didn't think at my age I'd have all this excitement about aging, but it's like a whole new version of me, a rebooted version, I like to say. I mean, I do have some things as you said, I'd like to just who is that person? But honestly, without everything I've gone through, I can't be the person I am today. And it's nice that I finally have awareness to choose what I'm going to do and not just move on autopilot.
Did you always think that you'd reach this age?
No, honestly, I thought I'd be dead by now.
So you got a second lease on life.
Today I do. I don't know how long it's going to go, but I'm living it the
Thousand
best
more
I
years,
can.
Colleen. You have 1,000 more years to change the
I
world,
hope
okay?
so. I'm not ready. I've got to throw away my old journals. I can't die tonight. I don't want anyone reading all that stuff yet.
Yeah, and that's why I asked that, right? Because when you're going through something and it's so difficult, you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it until whatever age. I used to have these really bad dreams in my 20s,
Mm,
and it was the same dream every time, and I died in that dream. So day after
wow.
day after day, I was dying in my dreams, and this went on for I think about a year.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I always died in my 30s. So as I got older, I'm like, oh my God, I'm 28. Oh my God, I'm 29. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want April 4th to come because this isn't going to be like my
Oh
dream.
my,
So I'm sitting there in March, like, what's going to happen to me right now?
wow.
April 4th comes and goes. It's April 5th. I'm like, oh, I'm still here. Everything changed, right? Because I was anticipating something and then it came and it went. So now I was like, I know the importance of time because I thought the day before was going to be my last. So that's why when you shared that, I was like, you got a second lease, and I can see you doing so many things with it. Great things. You have the book, you're doing everything that you want to do. What else is next on your list for Colleen to do when it comes to taking over the world?
Wow. I want to speak at schools. I'm working when I'm off the boat. I'd really love to get opportunities. I'm working on a PowerPoint presentation now, so it's interesting. So yeah, just speaking engagements and just continue to live my best life. Just be authentic. It's yeah, I don't need much in life, fortunately. I really uh, I don't want to there's nowhere I really want to travel. It's just enjoying the people in my life who are present. Like my father's aging, so I spend a lot of time with him. We've got a grandkid, so I spend a lot of time with him. He's 5. And yeah, just enjoying life. It's so great having little kids back in your life too. If it's been a while, they just remind you of how life is simple, like picking up a frog and oh my God, it's so much joy in rocks and things like that. So I mean, really, we don't need much in life to be happy. I don't,
No.
anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. As kids, what, one toy?
Hmm.
When we go run outside and I'm happy, sleep, wash, rinse, repeat. It's so much simpler.
Hmm.
Let
One
me ask,
thing
go ahead.
can I forgot, I wanted to mention in the United States, there's a helpline for people with suicide ideation or in a crisis. I think it's a different number in Canada, but it's the 988 helpline in the United States. And you can call it or text it anytime. And there's also a helpline for veterans. So if you're a vet, you can call and you'll speak to a vet who's gone through or understands what you're going through. I don't know that number, unfortunately. I need to learn that one, but there is the 988 helpline.
It's the same number in Canada,
Is
the
it?
988.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Because I've interviewed a few people that had suicidal thoughts and ideation. So they did share that with me, and I just had to refresh my
Mm,
memory. I was like, yeah, I think that's the same number when you mentioned it. And I'm glad that it's there because we also have something in Canada here in regards to children, like those who are under 18 who may be suffering from that. So there's a
mm,
few charities that are geared to that. So we have a few for overall, anyone, and then we have some specific for adults, and then we have some specific for those under 18 or who are teenagers.
Oh, great. I should look into that. Maybe we do too.
Yeah, I would think so because usually from what I remember researching is that it's something that you had thoughts when you have those thoughts, you had it for a number of years versus just I woke up
Mm.
one day, boom, it's I've been thinking that way for a number of years.
Mhm. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, let me ask you one final question, Colleen,
Okay.
before I let you go. I want to give you three wishes for this
Mm.
question. Okay. What are three things you wish people knew about life after drinking and why?
Okay. Life after drinking is liberating. Why? Because you no longer have hangovers. You're no longer going to waste your time drinking and then waste your time the following day because you're hungover. And you're no longer going to possibly risk your life or someone else's life or do or say something out of character.